Happy holidays, you guys. I'm recording this a few days after Christmas, and it's that beautiful time at the end of the year in between Christmas and New Year's where everything just gets so slow and we all get to be lazy and just hang out around the house and work as little as possible. So wherever you are, whether or not you're celebrating, I hope that you're taking this time to just relax and do as little work as possible and truly get yourself ready for the new year. It's definitely been a light week over in the TV world. All of the shows are starting to wind down and go into their end of year hiatuses until the new year. So today we're going to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac. We're pretty much fully in a hiatus period for TV right now. All of the shows have kind of gone dark until the new year. So really light one today. I want to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac season 9 episode 12. And then we have to talk about Karen Huger's DUI and the conviction because this is all so insane. I just watched the body cam footage and we have to talk about it. We pick up right where we left off last week. Jacqueline has just crashed Karen's party and she says she wants to be the weightlifter to bring peace, love, and light to the love lagoon. And so she brings 8 like heart-shaped balloons to signify the weight of Karen's 8 citations, and she wants to release them into the air as a way to like release all of the negative energy. My favorite part about this was all of the girls are like, that's not, like they really don't like it, but then also all of them take a balloon. Karen is obviously not having it because this is crazy. This is something that a crazy person does. I think Jacqueline is fine. I don't know. I'm not as up on her as a lot of other people are. Like sometimes she's kind of funny, but honestly, most of the time, I feel like she's giving like Britney on Salt Lake City. Like she's just trying so hard. And like, I'm just not about that. I hate when I can tell a housewife is trying so hard to make an impact and she's trying so hard to like get her scenes in and get her screen time in. So they just do this like stupid stuff that's just so outlandish. It just feels so like try hard to me. So I don't know. I know I'm in the minority here. I feel like a lot of people really like her, but to me, I don't know. I feel like I keep forgetting that she's an actual housewife and not just a friend of. I keep thinking that she's a friend of. Ray kicks Ashley out. He walks her off of his property and then he's got his arm around her the whole time and Karen has to shout from the backyard, "Ray, get your arm out from around her." Ray is such a horny little freak and I feel like he doesn't even try to hide it anymore. Like literally 5 minutes after Karen had to yell at him to get his arm out from around Jacqueline, he's over by the pool flirting with the mermaids, talking about how their tails came off and how he wishes that he could like get in the pool with them. It's like, so you just could not pay me $1 million to be in a marriage like this. I mean, truly, I don't care if I've been married for 30 years. If this is what my marriage becomes, I'm cashing in on the prenup and I'm leaving. I just do not see the joy here for them. To be honest with you, I would not be surprised if Karen and Ray had some kind of agreement, maybe not necessarily an open marriage, but like I have a feeling that either he messes around and she knows about it and just chooses not to care, or they both do that because there was a rumor that she had a boyfriend too a couple years ago. Anyway, Jacqueline leaves and Karen toasts to her, making it safely to her own home, and it's eventually revealed that Mia knew Jacqueline was gonna come, and she says that she told Jacqueline she wasn't gonna do anything to stop her, but also she didn't encourage it. I don't believe this for a second. I feel like Mia loved everything that was going on and she knew it was gonna happen from the beginning. I think she knew what Jacqueline was gonna do with the balloons and all of that. I think she was fully in on this. This is the first official episode of the cast trip to Panama, and Ashley's man, Jack Harlow, drops her off at the airport. I kind of love them. I don't know. I feel like he's definitely very corny. I don't think he's really attractive, but I like the two of them together. I love Ashley so much more now that she's not married to Michael. I feel like that's such a common theme among, honestly, 90% of the Real Housewives across all the franchises. If they would just leave their husbands, I feel like they would become so much more likable and I feel like they would start loving their lives a lot more. We land in Panama and now here we go with Stacey talking about TJ and Ashley, what did you mean when you were talking about your spidey senses with him? She calls out the other friend for calling her kiss with him a Christian kiss. TJ was being really weird during that game. He just has weird vibes in general, but he was sort of insinuating that like sometimes he dates other women, and there was a weird comment he made that sort of implied that like he's dating other women and just Stacey is the only one who he's not having sex with. Just overall like really weird. I also get weird vibes from him, but also honestly, I feel like in my experience just from like going to a Catholic high school and like being friends with a lot of really religious people throughout my life, it's always the ones ones who are the most like internally repressed when it comes to sex and stuff, who like to be really vocal about what they like in the bedroom. It's almost like they have something to prove. Like, I feel like TJ was at Karen's party. They were playing that game, asking each other spicy questions, and he started to get insecure, feeling like most of the women just think of him as like this Christian virgin. And I feel like he wanted to be like, no, like, I have sex. Like, I've had sex before. Like, you don't even know, like, all of the freaky things I do in bed. That's such like a Catholic thing. Do I think TJ is sleeping with other women? No, but I definitely do think he's flirting with other women, maybe going on dates with other women, especially if he travels a lot, like if he's going to LA and other cities. Like, yeah, I definitely do think that Stacey is not the only woman he's entertaining. I just think he thinks it's okay because he doesn't sleep with any of them. And then Stacey makes a comment. She says she's worried that the girls are moving from concern to ridicule. Stacey, they were ridiculing the whole time. They were never not ridiculing. Stacey definitely has this thing where like she can't tell when people are making fun of her, and I fear that people are making fun of her like 80% of the time. Then Ashley starts talking about Jack Harlow, and she says she hasn't loved anybody this much since Michael, and she basically says that her sex flashbacks are gonna carry her through this trip. I don't like when the housewives talk about their sex lives in graphic detail like that. There's just something about it that really icks me out. I don't know. It's like I don't watch the housewives because I want to picture these women having sex. That's not why I tune in. So whenever the housewives start talking about their sex lives like that, I'm like, ew, okay. And it's so weird because I'm not like that with anything else. I do not care about sex scenes in movies and TV. I feel like they're so important as like plot devices. It really does not bother me. But with reality TV shows like The Real Housewives and stuff, I'm like, I don't know, ew, like I don't want to know what you're doing. And I don't know why. Maybe I need to examine that. Anyway, Wendy tells the women which villas they're gonna stay in, and it's so great. She is so funny for this. She puts Karen next door to Jacqueline purely for no other reason than to sow chaos. And then she has Stacey rooming with Giselle in the same villa. Literally perfect combination. It's so funny because Stacey is so harmless. I think she's so adorable, but I think Giselle just thinks she's embarrassing. I feel like she views Stacey like as almost more immature than she views like her teenage daughters. Like, I think when she talks to Stacey, she feels like she's talking to a kid. The women go down to dinner and there's some traditional Panamanian dancing, and somebody is dressed up as the devil, and Karen starts dancing with the devil, and later the women comment about how like the devil was drawn to her. And let me tell you, after watching that body cam footage, I'm like, yeah, I do think the devil is drawn to her. I do think he might be within her. Like, that was so perfect. Then Jacqueline comes back with some BS about how the balloons symbolizing the 8 citations was supposed to be her extending an olive branch, and she claims that she came in peace, love, and light. And then Karen says that she was trespassing and she's begun the process of pressing charges. Come on. That's gonna go nowhere. That's not actually gonna be a thing. That's just Karen trying to big dog Jacqueline and trying to flex like all of the resources that she has with her money and lawyers. And I just think like nobody is intimidated when the housewives ever try to like flex taking legal action. I don't think that ever works. I always think it's so annoying when that's like a plot point. Then the conversation kind of shifts and Giselle calls Mia out for shading her teenage daughters for sneaking boys into the house. I think like 3 weeks ago they had that conversation. And say what you want about Giselle, I'm on her side here. You don't talk about minors, period. Giselle basically says, yeah, my daughters are teenagers. Teenage girls are gonna sneak boys into the house. It's what happens, whatever, don't talk about it. And I totally agree with her. Don't talk about teenagers. What's wrong with you? I just feel like Mia has been acting like a fool all season. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Just like telling her kids on camera, you know, mommy and daddy are getting a divorce, right? And they're like, no. And then like this thing with Jacqueline crashing Karen's party, and now this thing with like talking about Giselle's kids. It's just like low down. Like, I just don't like it. She explains a little bit. She talks about how the divorce has had such a negative effect and it's affecting her deeply to not have 100% decision-making power over her children, which I understand. I'm sure that's where a lot of this behavior is coming from, but like, if it's bringing you to a point where like you're telling your kids you got a divorce on camera and now you're talking about other people's kids, is like, I don't know, you're not the first housewife to go through a divorce. I always always think this whenever the housewives start acting crazy and they're like, oh, it's my divorce, it's my divorce, it's my divorce. I'm like, do you think that you're the first person in the world to ever get a divorce? Mia does open up a little bit. She talks about how the divorce has had a really negative effect on her, and she hates how she doesn't have 100% decision-making power over her children. And like, I get it, and I appreciated her opening up. She cried a bit. Like, I understand, but it just still does not make it okay for you to talk about somebody else's teenage daughters on television like that. Then we get to, by far my favorite moment in the episode, in Giselle and Stacey's room. Stacey shows up to Giselle's door, and she has her little toothbrush, and she's holding it out like this, and Giselle comes out, and she's like, what do you want? And Stacey's like, can I borrow some toothpaste? It was literally giving like when you're a little kid and you stand in your parents' doorway like this and you wait for one of them to wake up and they're like, what's wrong? And you're like, I threw up. That was so funny. I want like a full YouTube behind the scenes with just scenes of Giselle and Stacey living together. That was so good. I could watch so much more of that. The next morning, Wendy comes in and she gives the girls their little welcome bags for the trip. And these are also canvas bags, but unlike Lisa Barlow's, they're actually cute. I feel like Lisa could maybe take notes from this. If you're gonna give somebody a canvas bag, that's how you do it right. It had their little names on it. It was a cute size and shape. Those Vita Tequila ones look like the kinds of things you could buy at Trader Joe's. Speaking of Mia not being able to have 100% decision-making power over her kids, we end the episode with her on the phone with her mom, and I guess she dropped the kids off at their nanny's house while she was on vacation, and her ex, oh my god, what's his name again? Her ex didn't want them staying with a nanny, so he picked them up, and I guess his idea was like he wanted to stay with them the whole time, and then he changes his mind and then drives them 4 hours away to their old nanny's house in another state and leaves them there. That is crazy, and that is not okay. And I know I talk trash about Mia, but she is 100% justified in being upset here. That is so scary to be out of the country thinking your kids are in one place, and then you get a phone call and it's actually like, oh no, I took your kids and I put them in a different state without you knowing. That's crazy. And now he's like not even answering her phone calls. That is so scary. We're not gonna get really into that until the next episode in a couple weeks, but I can't wait to touch more on that. In the meantime, we have got to talk about Karen Huger's DUI. So on December 18th, they found her guilty of, I believe, 5 out of the 8 counts. They found her guilty of driving under the influence, of course, and then 4 other related charges. I didn't realize this happened in March, so this has been stretched out for a really long period of time. Her sentencing is scheduled for January 29th, and she's literally facing up to 2 years in prison. And I feel like normally in circumstances like this, I'd be like, oh, she's super rich. Rich people like this don't go to prison. They're gonna buy off the court. They're gonna do whatever they need to do to not go to prison. But she let this go to trial. She didn't plead guilty. She didn't admit to driving under the influence. She let this go to trial, and she let herself get a conviction. And I feel like that's different. So I don't know, maybe she will do some prison time. I think it's so crazy that she let this go to trial, because I saw the body cam footage today, and oh my god, it's like 30 minutes of body cam footage, and I watched the whole thing on like ×2 speed because she was talking so slowly and her speech was so slurred. I mean, I have never seen anybody that drunk in my life. I can't believe she was even able to like stand up and walk, let alone like talk and attempt to drive a car. I'm gonna show you a little bit of the footage here, but the entire time she is being so obstinate, so bratty, completely unwilling to admit that she was drunk. I think she just said like, oh yeah, I had a couple beers. Let me just show it to you right now because it's insane.
Can I conduct some field sobriety on you, ma'am?
And we'll make the
No,
best
sir.
of it.
No?
You cannot.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we good?
I think we could be good. We had an accident. You probably did have a couple of beers. You didn't see the media.
No, I didn't drive
And-
the car either. And for them
I-
to hop out was
Huh?
incredible. The security you hired for me, but
So
my husband,
was he?
No.
Was he here?
I will talk to my husband.
You can talk to him, but you're not going anywhere.
I know what you will not do is
All
tell
right.
me what I can do.
All right, Jeff, I want to play
Sharon,
shotgun.
don't, please, don't.
Are you doing that?
Yep.
See,
Why?
because wouldn't have said it. I mean,
Well, because you're intoxicated.
This woman is so arrogant. She is so egotistical. She is so self-involved. And I think she genuinely does believe that she is the queen of the DMV. And she is just so unwilling to accept that she did anything wrong. I mean, even speaking through her attorneys, the fact that she even let this go to trial, like she really thought that there was a chance that she would be acquitted, given that body cam footage and what we saw, and her claiming to be like Thomas Jefferson's concubine and talking about how she's the daughter of a slave owner and just slurring her words. She really thought that people would see that and acquit her anyway. I mean, she is living in a fantasy land. And then her attorney has the nerve to say in the press they're disappointed with the court's decision. I mean, I know that's like kind of something that they have to say, but like, did you really think it was gonna go any other way? Bravo hasn't really made a statement on it yet. Andy Cohen just said that he's like still processing the news. So I feel like that kind of indicates that they're waiting to see how sentencing goes to determine like whether or not Karen can still be on the show. I like Karen on Potomac just from like an entertainment standpoint, but I just don't know how she could possibly have a future on The Real Housewives after getting convicted of a DUI and then obviously possibly going to prison. But even if she doesn't go to prison, it's like she did this horrible thing. She could have killed somebody. That body cam footage looks horrible. I honestly would not be surprised if we don't see her at all next season and if she takes a couple of years off. But that's all I have for you this week. It was a really light week because Salt Lake, Beverly Hills, I don't watch New York because it's so bad. All of those shows are on hiatus right now. So no video next week because there's nothing new airing in between like Christmas and the first week of January. But I'll see you in a couple weeks when Beverly Hills, Potomac, and Salt Lake are all gonna be back. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.